What up, Pittsburgh Steel fans? Matty P here with a quick episode to give you an update on all the roster moves happening for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Just woken up in my morning just after 6. Wanted to get this out. These happened in the middle of the night for us here on Steelers Touchdown Under, so we have to try and recap them for you. Obviously, big move yesterday with Kevin Dotson being traded for a 5th and a 6th pick over the next couple of years. Him being traded along with the 5th and 6th pick. Obviously, Steelers received back the 4th and the 5th. That's really good stuff when Kevin Dotson was only brought in on a 4th-round pick in 2020, someone that wasn't even invited to the Combine. But you're here to hear about the latest roster moves. Let's bring them to you. So basically, to recap, the Steelers have now cut they've got to cut back to 53 players. Then they can obviously sign their practice squad guys. They've got to do that by 4 p.m. Tuesday afternoon Eastern Daylight Saving Time. And so far, Tanner Morgan's gone. Mark and I predicted that on various depth chart shows that we've done. Darius Huggins is out. John Lovett's out. Jamarcus Bradley, Hakeem Butler, Cody White were out a few days back, almost a week ago now, actually. Dan Chesner, Aaron Cruikshank in the last sort of 48 hours, roughly, as I go to air, 36 hours. The Raven Clark's now being cut as well. That was one we predicted. William Dunkel out. James Name-Weyer. Manny Jones is out, someone that they brought in just after the draft, I think it was, and then pretty much was sort of just not talked about. But when they brought in Armand Watts for Hoko, it was pretty much like, yeah, this guy's not really going to be there. He's a depth piece. Kwani Dang's now being cut as well. Tanner Muse. So we cut him when Mark and I did our roster show at 53. He's someone you could still bring back on special teams because he can play linebackers, like a box safety. In some instances, he's done that previously in the league when he was with the Raiders, and he can play special teams. So you might see him back on the practice squad. Toby was cut as well, the linebacker. Again, I think he could play on the practice squad. He did a bit more in the preseason than what I think a lot of people expect. Forrest Ryan was cut. He was barely at the Steelers for a week. Isaiah Dunn cut. Labatt Hill cut. Both cornerbacks. Jalen Elliott cut, which is interesting. I thought they might, not that they'd keep him, but I thought that have seen a little bit more of him, but he's out. Kenny Robinson, I said this on the weekend in one of my takeaways. He's probably one of the unluckiest players in some ways to not make the 53. If it was 55, 57, I kind of think he makes it off his preseason performances, but I think they'll bring him back on the practice squad. I think that's quite likely. DB, Marjorie Harper cut. DB, Neville Clark cut. Kicker cut BT Potter yesterday, and then Rex Sunahara, the long snapper, he was also cut as well. So Steelers definitely getting down toward the 53. I've got it on my count. Just you got to keep up. They move players so quickly. I think they've cut or now traded with Dotson about 25 players. I still think we've got a trade or two potentially in the mix as well. But this is what's going to be interesting to see over the next sort of 36, 48 hours now. Who gets cut, not just who gets cut, who the Steelers pick up, how they improve the roster. Mark and I talked about this on our show that went out earlier today in the US regarding the roster moves, who else could be cut from the roster. We talked about the fact that to get better, unless there's a crazy cut of a free agent and the Steelers go after them, and based on just before these cuts when we looked at it, there wasn't really anyone out there. But unless someone crazy as a free agent gets cut, really, for the Steelers to improve, they probably have to keep playing the trading game. Backup center, potentially, maybe a linebacker if you don't like it. But I actually think it's another corner. That'll be interesting to see whether James Pierre makes it or not. And if he does, it might be that he makes it while they wait to see which other cornerbacks are cut. I don't think they're as in on James Pierre as it might appear. I think that was the case when they didn't give him the RFA tender. I think that's the case with some of the awful things we've seen in preseason. I'm not a fan of him. I know some of Steel fans and even podcasters are, but that's just the way it is. And if he makes it, good luck to him. He gets to wear the black and gold. We'd all love to wear the black and gold if we could. But with that, that's going to wrap up this quick show. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you are not subscribed to our content, please subscribe to our channel. It really helps in terms of us being able to get things to you, run competitions, all those sorts of things. And if you like the show, give it a like. We'll try and give you as much news as we can. As said, pretty hard on some of race when we're asleep down under. But we always like to give you as much content as we can and give it as quickly to you as we can. And with that, as always, go Steelers.